what's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business. It's Thursday, noon, Central Time. That means it's time for Cars on the Dispatching Live. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. So, we're going to look at the load boards. We have a special guest today, actually, David Ray Jr. We're going to look at, are there too many apps? This is actually, we know we need technology to help solve problems, but is it headed in the right direction? Is your technology working for you? What isn't working for you? That actually is in the news today, as far as maybe it's the human beings in the technology. We just need the technology to do its thing. I don't know. That can't be right either. So let's do this. Please do help me wish a very warm welcome. She's my co-host on Thursdays. And Sue, can you see us and hear us okay?
Yes, I can. How you doing, Jay?
How you doing? Well, I'm good.
Good.
I think you and I
Beautiful
both.
weather.
All right. Well, yeah. Actually, the weather's in the news. I'll start it off this way because I know, like, some people are like, man, just get to it. I gotta go. I gotta load. I gotta run. Right.
Right.
You and I both have pretty interesting stories today, which is normal.
Yes, we have a lot. I think.
Yeah, we do. I think they're a little different than normal, but really relevant
Yeah.
and interesting. So we're going to jump into that. But before we do that, you know what we have to do. I'm sorry to.
Yep. Read it.
Dang it.
Do
All
it.
right, here we go. Okay, we have to read the woke waiver. Please be aware that in compliance with DEI, the views and analysis provided on Dispatching Live relate to the auto transport industry as a whole and may not relate directly to ATI Auto Business, Auto Transport Intel, any affiliates, advertisers, or audience members. All viewers and participants of this content expressly waive any rights during this live program, whether in voice, chat, comment, video, or audio, and have been advised and encouraged not to say or express any opinion that may relate directly to ATI Auto Business, Auto Transport Intel, any affiliates, advertisers, audience members, or any other company or individual, and should not feel they have the right to do so. So if you're going to, here's just in short order, if you're going to bag on a company, please state it as news. We're not going to say company names. You can put it in the live chat. The live chat is the last bastion of freedom, is the live chat. But we are not here to cause a legal issue. We are here to report the news and remain objective. Fight. Okay, ready? Okay. So, having said that, if you start to feel a little queasy, you run to the waste paper basket, or you just puke in your truck. It's the Dispatching Live effect. I know. There's less and less truth out there in media, so we're here to try to help. We're going to report the truth. The truth hurts. Here we go. By the way, that's right. We are Auto Transport Community Media since 2017. Sorry to remind you about that. Just feel like we have to do that more and more. That means we've been doing it for 6 years. And we're not even the first. We're just I don't know. We cover the ecosystem. That's what it is, Jay. You guys do new cars, used cars, auctions, dealers, shippers, services, brokers. We don't ship cars. We leverage information. We're here for the entire ecosystem on behalf of nonpartisan news. All right. And we are the ecosystem's only true neutral zone. We're not owned by any one company. There are people that misunderstand what we're doing here, and we're glad you're here to help us clear up the confusion. Jeez. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Charles Lemons. He made another awesome video, and I'm going to share the link. If you want to watch Charles' new video, I know it's on YouTube, and I grabbed you know what I did? I grabbed the LinkedIn link. Let's go check out his YouTube channel. One of the reasons I also want to point this out is that I said I've been doing this 6 years, And I've been trying to collaborate with truck driver YouTubers for about 5 years, and you'd think it'd be easy. I have no idea why I've invited so many driver YouTubers on this channel to talk, and they don't do it. But Charles he's in the ATI community. Shout out Charles. So go to Brova. Go to Brova Chaws Lemons. And what I'm not doing is, I'm not playing the videos, because when I play videos and there's any audio or soundtrack, the YouTube gets mad. And so anyways, but I recommend go up here. These are really helpful videos. 4 tips to help improve business, security checkpoint. He's really stepped it up, and he's trying to help educate. So shout out to Charles. It's awesome. And if you are a driver YouTuber, and we either have talked, haven't talked, won't talk, don't talk, let's talk. Or not. It's cool, man. This is auto transport. You can do whatever you want. And we do whatever we want. It's auto transport. What's going on with the hurricane right now? Do we know? Do you know?
Transport auto quoter is by far the
gone through, right?
Hold on. Sure. I just had an advertising malfunction. Hurricane Idalia, take it away. I'm sorry.
Well, as far as I know, I think it's passed through there. I've got family that live in Tampa, and he said he slept through it, so that was good.
Oh, good.
I know they had the roads closed down and stuff like that. They weren't letting anybody out. It wasn't yesterday. I think it was the day before, Tuesday. So, and then they've had lots of blockage because of, the damage and stuff like that. I just saw a bunch of pictures from somewhere on there of damages. I think it was on Yahoo, showing how bad it was. So my family was okay, so I'm not really sure about anybody else. I'm sure they were just lucky. So
I just had an idea,
Thursday.
You know how the weatherman stands in the storm surge, and it's like, and he's like, I can barely breathe. We need the car hauler. Right?
Yes.
I mean, loading right now blows.
Well, one of our car haulers lives in Davenport, and he went and loaded on Monday, but he has a place to stash them all. Because I was like, man, just so you know, if something happens to these cars, they're going to hold you responsible. He had a garage, so he took them all too. And then I think he's loading out to leave today to go wherever he was originally planning on going, and then we're shooting him straight back. So I really haven't heard if it's bad yet.
Well, here we go. Hey, hello, live chat. What are you guys doing? Let's start at the top. Ty was in here first. He loves Sue.
Hi.
Steph, hey. And Ty's going to be on in a little bit with David. And Steph and Family says hello. Steph and Family, what's going on? Eyes and ears and nose and toes. What is this, the Wiggles? Anybody remember that? 7 Seas Transport. Hey, everybody. 7 Seas Transport. Rob Stevenson is here. Super Mac, what's going on? Justin, National Car Shipping. So cool. Thank you guys for saying hello and watching. It's awesome. Joe at Car Shipper says howdy. Now TC Spate. Hey, how do you get your first driver as a dispatcher? That is such a good question. Let's go to that in a second. I just want to finish the live chat. Charles is here. What's up, Charles? Shout out. Great videos. Auto transport and everything you need to know what's going on. And 7 Seas gives the weather report. Last remnants of the hurricane in North Carolina, so it's just drizzling. So it is. And this, I screen capped this like Tuesday, and here it is. 1 p.m. Thursday. And that's about right. Look at that. It's just a drizzle in North Carolina. It's going to go out to the ocean. Things are going to move out to the east. It's just going to be kind of a rain coming down over the Atlantic, and the cool air is going to fizzle and drizzle. So thanks so much. Imagine the college parties at FSU in Tallahassee for the hurricane. That's such a good point.
It is true.
I'm in the hurricane, drinking a hurricane. I can barely... I live in Florida. No deaths reported so far. Damage is minimal considering the scale of the storm. Yeah, it looked like it was pretty big. TC Spade watches Charles. There you go. See? Yeah, these are great videos. DDD says hello, Jay and Sue. Sue, will you do it a favor? Will you take it away? How do you get your first driver as a dispatcher?
Well, it's been a long time, Jay, but
Me too, I know.
when I hire new dispatchers, I usually, if they're wanting to go out and try to build up their own clientele, I usually tell them to go, first off, you need to make cards. I don't even make regular business cards. I make like the 3x5 cards, so you can put a lot of information on there. Anyways, I always recommend they go to the Mannheims, the Odessas, where Coparts, IAs, where people are going to be sitting at that need dispatchers. I used to, in the very beginning, advertise on Central Dispatch for that. I don't know if I'd even tell you to do that anymore. I think definitely going and talking to someone in person is always going to be your best thing to do. But here's the thing. You've got to know what you're saying. You got to know what you're doing. You got to be trustworthy. You can't walk up to somebody and go, you know what I mean? You got to be able to do it. Because this is a business where they have to be able to trust you, because you don't want a driver that says, okay, call me every time before you book a load. That's the thing I hate the most. If you don't trust me enough to book you, then I probably don't want to work with you.
Oh my God, I totally agree with that. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
and this is where you have to have your red flags. But before you get to the red flags, okay, so I'm going to chime in here too, is that you used to be able to do this on Central, find drivers, advertise. That doesn't work anymore. And if you text drivers, you just piss them off.
Don't do it. Oh,
I think the only real way to do this, one of the only real ways, because there's always another way, is that maybe, okay, where can you find drivers? And the answer could be what? The auction, right?
Yes, auctions, Mannheim's,
Coparts, page out of Ty's playbook, right? Yes. Go to the auction, go to the gate, go where drivers are.
Absolutely. And then on top of it, then you got to think about it. You get one driver, and then you tell that driver when he's out and about, hand him out your cards.
Yes.
And when he goes to gas stations, stuff like that, then he hands you off to the next person. That's really kind of how I built up my company, is by that. But like I said, you really you can't just be green and not know what you're talking about or what you're saying.
And that's how you come off in a text.
Mm-hmm.
These text messages, even if you are, well, number one, if you send any text or email, and I'm sorry about this, you can't have any grammar mistakes.
Oh, you can't. For sure.
And I'm sorry. Not everybody's an English major. I do have a minor. It doesn't matter. But you know what? Go use Grammarly. But you can't have mistakes when you send a text with an advertisement.
No.
It's gone. Right. One typo, it's over.
Yep. I agree.
That's the world we live in.
Yes.
And even if you have the perfect text, I'll tell you, I was working with, I had a company on a Tuesday night. And then 1 week I got an email every day from them about how great their stuff is. I've heard nothing, and then email. Like, go away. Right?
Right.
So you gotta be, you have to really be savvy about the way you do, they call it drip marketing. You gotta be really savvy. Watch YouTube videos and think about your approach.
Yes. And I've been doing this for 20 years. I still have the same thing where they are like, well, I only want to do this or I want to do that. And you also have to set yourself up standards, too, of who you're willing to deal with, too. Keep that in mind. Don't just, I know everybody wants to get out there and get rolling.
We'll do your taxes. We'll do your payroll. We call everybody, right? We only charge 3% for the world.
Yes. And then also, do some background checks on, not like physically, but like if they said they've been with another dispatch company and they didn't like them and blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's the first clue with that. Go check that other dispatch company and ask them why. If they'll answer you, most of them will, why that they're no longer with there. It's usually because they didn't ever get paid. That's a big thing. So that's one of the things you never want to do. Never let them get into you for more than a week.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Don't be absolutely. And here BGA. So now you get into this. Gets into this minutia we're talking about. Do you charge for setting up new companies with a broker? Sue, the answer is
no.
No,
No,
you
I do
want
not.
to,
That's part of what we do.
but
I
that's part
know,
of.
but
I
you
know.
know, and I've thought about this
Yeah,
a
I
lot.
know.
We've talked about it before because I've set companies up with everybody, and then they fired me a month later after I've got them all set up. We've talked about it. I've talked about like making them pay us a deposit so they wouldn't do anything like that. But I don't work like that. I know how hard it is for these guys to make money. Um, and it's rough. So I just have a hard time doing that. And that's why I said, talk to these people. Don't just take whoever. Really get to know them. See if you click too, because that's a
And
huge thing right there. You got
and
to be able to click with this person. You're going to be talking and texting to them
oh,
all
isn't that
day,
the truth?
every
Oh,
day, at least 5 days a week.
and this is where
And
language barriers are
yep,
rough.
right.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh! Or if you can
Yeah.
barely hear them, I've had that. I've had a
Mm-hmm.
driver where I get. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Are you near the phone?"
Right. You
Right?
sound like you're in a
How?
cave.
Where
Like,
are you? What is this? Yeah, no. I mean, you're not. It's not gonna. You're not gonna be able to do it. Or you think, well, we'll just communicate through text. I've
yeah.
never had that work
That
either.
No, it only
No.
works. That you know the time that only that works is if they can't speak English or something to
Well,
that
I
effect.
know, but
I've done
I've
that
tried.
before.
I have tried that. I'm a pretty patient
Yeah,
guy.
that's
I
hard.
mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
hard too. It
it's
really
because
is.
the problem is it's not about my patience. It's about time and reality. We don't have
Mhm.
time to go through all the
Right,
back and forth and right. And this gets into I've got to approve every load. Well, we don't have time, dude.
right.
We don't have that time.
Well,
I mean,
and here's the other thing as far as the opposite, as a dispatcher, you should be able to talk clearly with the brokers, not piss anybody off, which tends to happen sometimes if you don't know how to talk to somebody. And I mean, it's bad enough sometimes. So you know why I don't like to work with drivers that are not owners is because they don't care, whereas an owner who's a driver does. They care about their business. They are going to go into a dealership and act appropriately, dress appropriately, right? But then you have the drivers
yes,
who work for somebody
yes.
and oh man, they don't care.
Well,
Just do whatever they want, say
so
whatever
and
they
as the
want, and then you're
dispatcher,
screwed.
you'd like to think anybody who's pissed off, if you're doing business, keep your piss to yourself.
Right,
You have to
right. Don't
hide
tell
that
them.
piss.
This is
Yeah. And
right. And
so
here's my number one thing they
yeah.
do. They tell the customer that their car is a piece of shit. That is the number one thing. And
Oh
I
my
don't care if it's
god,
from
totally.
Copart. That's
Who
their
cares?
business.
Exactly. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh, that's funny. You're
They
totally
get
right.
so upset and I'm just like, why would you say that? Because they're like, this is how I feed my family. I'm like, I totally get it. I am so sorry. They shouldn't be talking to you like that.
Wow.
And we eat a lot of crow
Well,
for
well,
drivers that are not owners. You know what
boy
I
oh
mean?
boy, crow
So
eating
it's like you're
dispatch. That
pissing
should
off.
be the name of the company.
Yeah, there we go.
Amen. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
for sure.
So I know we didn't answer the question, but what we did is we gave you some ideas of where'd you get that idea?
Yes.
Because this is
Yeah.
the thing about dispatching is it highly lucrative?
Well, you have to have multiple drivers, and here's the thing:
Well, it's just
since
yeah.
they have
It's a
changed
terrible
this,
question.
well, yeah, well, we all know that they've changed the rules that to be a dispatcher, you're going to have a broker bond, right? That's what they're saying. In fact, we ran into this which we're going to talk about here in a little bit too, about a broker. But you have to have that now, so you can't just be out there all willy-nilly doing whatever you want. So just keep that in mind, or you have to work for only one company. So and honestly, what I always tell you, for you to make the money
Which
that
we
you need
still
to cover,
don't know.
and I don't know what your bills are.
We're
Right.
still not clear if that's actually the deal.
Right, true.
I'm
I don't know. It's on
I
the
don't know.
FMCSA, but who knows? Anyways,
Yeah.
but here's the thing.
Allegedly.
It depends on what your bills are, what your overhead is, if you have employees. So you have to figure out how many drivers you need to have to keep yourself going. And then you also have to figure out sometimes those drivers are going to break down. Sometimes
Oh,
those
God.
drivers are going to take off on vacation.
That's why you have to have more than one driver.
Yes. You
One of
have
them's
to.
always going to be
That
off the
whole
road.
ruling is
Yeah.
stupid. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
absolutely. Yeah, I always tell you.
That's because
this
that's
is
why
an
that's how
experienced
we know.
dispatcher.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping in. That's how we know it's the brokers that have set up this law to take down the dispatchers. There, I said it.
Yep. But you have to think of it in terms of how much you need to have and what what could happen down the road. What if, I always say have 4 to 5 drivers, but that's an experienced dispatcher. That's a lot
Yes,
of
4 to
work.
5. That's
Don't
the
get me wrong.
number. That's
Yeah,
7 is not the
because
number. 7 is too many.
no, 7 is not the number.
Too many.
It may have been back in the day. I used to have 7 to 10 by myself, but that's when loads
Wow.
were like boom,
Really?
boom, boom. You're good
Wow.
going. You know what I mean? Oh
That's
yeah, I did.
incredible. I've done
But
7.
um,
I was not happy. I
no,
was very
I didn't say I
irritable.
was happy for
Oh, okay. I didn't say I was happy.
for sure.
Get out of here. It's funny.
But keep in mind, you're right. There's always one driver that's broke down out of that 5 or
Oh,
4.
I mean,
And
always.
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 Yes, or they're
Or
on
at the
vacation, or
casino.
they've got
Okay, Jay.
this, or
True
whatever.
story. True
Yeah.
story.
So, and also, it's not just even that. You need to have good drivers. Yeah, good drivers that you have good communication with, that tell you what's going on, so you can cover their butt if something happens, instead of having it happen after the fact, and then you look like an idiot going, "I didn't know this even went down. I just found out."
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
not picking up a car, or something like that. So it takes a while to get good 4 or 5 drivers that you trust, they trust you.
Yeah, how long do you think
It's
that took?
sometimes
A year or 2 years?
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does takes a
Yeah.
long time. Which is
Yeah.
where, picking up a driver and forming a solid business relationship, shoot, man.
Yeah.
That's
It
hard.
is. It
That
is. And
is-
it's
that
like,
takes a lot
if you
of
think of it,
time.
it's like any other business. You have to work it. And it's not just you getting the loads. 4 or 5 drivers, you're not
Right.
even just getting the loads
Well-
and verifying the loads. You're also doing their accounting too. And sometimes you're their therapist and their mama.
Oh, you definitely.
everything
That's not
else,
even a sometimes. You can count on it. BGA
Yeah.
mentions dispatchers can still exist if they're not allocating loads to drivers in the same region, not handling their money. See, the thing is, it comes down to the money, which again we know. See, oh God,
We don't
Sue,
handle the money.
I know, and
Yeah.
nobody, the brokers don't care.
Never
I'm
have.
being really mean here about the brokers. I'm
No.
sorry. I'm
No.
actually thinking of a broker association. You know who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a
Well,
guy,
yeah,
and I'm
that's-
thinking of an
I don't know.
association. He freaking hates dispatchers. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I don't know
Yeah,
how
there's someone on there
dispatchers
that
are
puts-
affecting. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
It is
Well,
a
there's some that-
seething hate.
Yeah, and they'll even sometimes put on the load if your dispatcher don't call
Allegedly.
for the load. Yeah.
But,
But, we're
dispatchers
gonna
don't
deal with
handle
one of
money.
these
And if
people
they
right
do,
now,
they
fact.
are brokers,
Yeah.
and that is illegal, which we all agree on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm so tired of this.
Oh yeah. Dispatchers do not handle money.
They don't
They
do
do
that.
not.
Yeah,
We
they
just
get
are
paid
their
by
rep.
carriers.
Yes.
It's so
We're just the rep
irritating
to
that.
get the loads. Yeah.
I mean, I am begging the FMCSA to watch any part of this show ever. You would now know, and I thought I read language that they understood. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
think
I
they
gotta
do.
move on. The dispatch. I don't even. You know what's crazy? I don't even have a dog in this fight. I'm not a dispatcher. What do I care?
You're right.
I don't know
But you
why.
used to be.
Well, I know and I know what
That's
dispatching
why.
is. Yeah, and
Yes.
not only is it a thankless job like being a custodian, right?
Right. Right.
You're mopping up the floors and being called illegal. Goodness,
Right.
golly, sounds like America. All right. Hey, did you get the memo? We did vehicle recovery roundtable Tuesday night. We had a lot of repo agents on ATI. That's right, repo agents talking to transportation business owners on a Tuesday night on ATI, because this is where we build bridges, no matter how frustrated I get. Joint Repossession Association memo on transporter access. I've talked about this. I mean, I know it's a snooze fest. Hang on, stay with me. Here's what you need to know. This is going to shock you. It is the opinion of associations in repossession, we're talking legal ramification, that transport companies have to sign a site entry agreement before entering any repo lot to pick up a car, and have a certificate of insurance with the repo lot listed as the insured, and maybe additionally insured before picking up any repo car.
And that's crazy. Like, we have time for that.
Okay.
Like, they have time for that.
And I'm telling you, I told them Tuesday night live that this is going to seem crazy to a lot of auto transport businesses. And they stated why they need this. And this is a serious problem. Because if every repo car that you book and pick up, not only do you need an appointment, but you need to get a certificate of insurance with the repossession agency listed. You need to get it to them. And you need to sign a site entry agreement and get that to them. All of that needs to happen before you pick up the car. Not to mention verify it still has an axle, find out if there's a key, accommodate the 2 hours they're open that week. Which, by the way, most of what I just said is actually possibly true.
Absolutely.
Okay?
If they even answer the phone or the email to schedule the appointment.
And here's the thing. My repo friends watching, I mean, listen, I'm right down the middle. I'm stating how transportation views this, but on behalf of the repo agency, they need the insurance protection. That's why they need this. Because you've got that random bang hang that's wiping out on their lot, causing insurance claims, and they aren't covered because they don't have the certificate, the entry agreement, and he runs off and disappears and goes out of business. That guy exists. Cocaine Bear went to the repo lot. All right? And destroyed everything. And they're liable. Because Cocaine Bear didn't have... See, and here's the thing. I know. What do we do? If this is real, I told him, I said, no repo car is ever going to get picked up again.
I know.
Because here's the problem.
I know.
And I looked at the rates. I think I have it here. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the rates are coming up.
They're
Look
not.
at $600 for a repo from Kentucky to North Carolina, which is over $2 a mile. But here's the problem. If you got to read, let's read this together. Sue, you're seeing this for the first time. Will you read this?
Sure, I see them all the time on here. Call to verify. If in op, call ready. Carrier must use EBOL. Call pickup 24. I can't read that part. And then DRF's paid. Vehicle inoperable due to not drivable issue. RDN ready. It has keys. It is not drivable. Access to clear data booking can proceed for these. VINs transport ready. Blah, blah, blah. In-op with key. Shipper requires this must be picked up on this date to this date.
Okay, by the way, I
yes,
captured
I've
this
gotten cleared out of
yesterday. I'm sorry. I captured this Tuesday, which was the 29th. And it still said, and I've said this before, nobody gives a crap. But I've said,
No.
if it still says you got to pick it up 5 days a freaking go and deliver it by today, the day I'm seeing it, can you get that updated? Does anybody have a technology with a freaking calendar in it?
No, I don't think so.
God.
It says this stuff all the time.
It doesn't matter because it doesn't matter anymore. But you just said, you just said the key phrase, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I said. Blah, blah, blah. Exactly. I can't read it all. And I don't even understand.
You know what?
How many times was something repeated, taken away? I sound so crazy, but...
Well, no, you're right. They just say it
Jeez.
over and over again. And half the time, none of it's even true, by the way. Most of the time, it doesn't have a
Well,
key.
clearly there's...
And like I said, that's if you can find out any of this stuff. And like everybody said, it's usually a 2-hour window, maybe twice a week. You know, when I see this and I go onto the board and I see this, I immediately get right back out. Not doing it. Sorry. Bye-bye. My biggest complaint would be that if you're going to list this on Central Dispatch, this is where these are at, put on there some of this information. Put on there, this is repo lot, so that, I hate to say it like this, so you don't even bother. Because I'm not going to go.
Right, because then
My drivers aren't going to go.
I went to the next load, because that's what we do. We're like, I don't know. Then
Pass.
here's this one. Exactly. Pass. Here's an in-op ProMaster. Alabama to Georgia. And my eyes are drawn to this. Wait a minute. That was a month ago.
Yeah.
No, pass. I don't want to know anything after that. If it's been there a month, no.
Yeah.
How many transporters have passed? It should say additional info. 4,000 transporters have tried to pick this up. Right?
And you know what sucks about that? They won't tell you that even.
Oh, I
You call to
know.
get that load, and then you find out all this stuff.
Okay.
Well, we've already had 4,000 people try to come pick this up.
And that's right. And I will say
that's a
this.
regular thing.
This one's going to sting a bit. But one of the reasons I created this channel was because I was so freaking tired of the crap that I would read in the dispatch notes that I thought there's no way this makes sense to the average person. And it won't stop. The crap gets longer. And, by the way, I called the company and said, I'm sure I was unglued one day. Big shocker. And I said, I can't read all the crap in your dispatch notes. I don't know what we're supposed to do here. The driver has tried to pick this up. Can you update the notes with better information crap? What? Yeah. What'd they do? They took the load back and didn't change a dang thing.
And that's typical.
Oh, it is. It happens.
Like say, for example, I took this load and I found out there is no key. I can tell them that when I cancel, but guess what? It never gets changed.
That's right. They don't update. And here's this is the maddening part. The company's posting this stuff. They know this stuff. Their clients don't know because they don't tell anybody the really, really bad news. That in the back of the room where they're trying to make sausage, there's sausage all over the walls. And there's nobody even there. That's why I made a channel. Anybody having this same problem? Auctions verifying cars. Okay, we've eaten a lot of time. Welcome to Auto Transport. Oh my gosh. Hey, all right, guys. David, Ty, hang on another 5 or 10 minutes. We got a couple pieces of news, and then we'll be ready to bring you in. I just want to say, because this is Auto Transport, you can do whatever you want. Gets proven every week. Here, I'm going to prove it. You think I'm not right? Here we go. Shiplux revolutionizes car shipping with a new booking app. I am reading actual press release news. When is this from? August 25th, 2023. Shiplux, a leading auto transport and logistics firm, proud to announce the launch of its groundbreaking booking application. Since its establishment in 2018, Shiplux has been working to revolutionize the logistics space. Are you telling me no one's ever done that? A new booking app revolutionizing car shipping. You can literally do whatever you want. And on that note, it's time to point this out. Oh, there's Ty with too many driver apps. Hey, a company recently launched the first of its kind video podcast offering a dedicated conversation for the auto transport industry. You mean recently launched? Are you freaking kidding me? The first of its kind video podcast. You've never heard of ATI or all the drivers sitting in their trucks making videos, or all the other auto transport companies with YouTube videos on LinkedIn, on social media, but you recently launched the first of its kind video podcast offering a dedicated conversation for the auto. Brother. There, I finally said it. Because somebody was like, Jay, are you going to say anything? I just did. Moving on. Hey, so we're definitely having some problems with who will not pay us and doesn't even have the proper broker bond to tell us. We had to contact the broker himself. Okay, Sue. Let her rip. What is going on?
So there's a broker out there. Been around for a little while anyways. And we've worked for him several times. A couple of years I think he's been on here. And never had any problems before with getting paid. Now he's not paying people, and if you look at his ratings, he comes up with reasons not to pay people. He's come up with reasons not to pay us. Apparently yesterday Jen was talking, finally got a hold of him. Now keep in mind, we haven't been paid since March on this one, and his bond company is telling us that we have to go through with the FMCSA to get paid. That's not the way it works. And he told us, because Murphy Auto is the dispatch company, that we double brokered the load and he doesn't have to pay us. I am nowhere in there is that double brokering. We literally put it on the truck that he gave it through, which he used Super Dispatch to give us the load, by the way. And so he knows that he dispatched it to that actual company. That company used the bills of lading that we use on Super Dispatch. There is no excuse for it other than the fact that I think either he's having money problems or whatever's going on. But there's a lot of things happening that he's got negatives for not paying people.
Yeah, these are you
And
sent.
he's rude, nasty, and yeah.
These are. Where did you get
Actual-
these? Yeah, are these on
These
Super
are all from
Dispatch?
Super Dispatch. Yes.
These
Yeah.
are actual carrier non-payment. Refused to pay after a court order from a judge. I love that one.
And then he answers you. He says,
And he says, "You were paid. Learn how to use an app." Or what? Now here's what's in. He said, "Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's dissect." He said, "You were paid. Learn how to use an app, and you would get paid on time." So we paid you after the court. I don't know. Service was performed. I like this one. This is a nice nitpicky one. The service was performed. Cars were delivered. Customer was satisfied. Now the broker's refusing to pay. I've lived this one. We did it. It's delivered. The customer's fine. What's the problem? And he says, well, but you didn't take the pictures. Karen says, you didn't take the pictures. You were warned via text that the pictures were supposed to be taken as the vehicles were en route, and you failed to take the pictures on drop-off. Even now you want paid with no proof of pictures.
Right.
Jeez, Karen. Holy cow. Karen's Trucking LLC. Yeah. We're just going to start calling him Karen. No payment, called multiple times, no answer. Which is a pretty nice, that's pretty nice feedback. I called forever, I fell over and died, didn't get paid. My driver was 20. I like this one's interesting too. Now this is Karen in full bloom. Okay, my driver was 20 minutes from a location, broker canceled. That's the comment. Karen says, in all caps, driver was 2 hours out at 1 p.m. At 4 p.m., he was 32 miles away. Called the owner because dispatcher turned the phone off. At 7 p.m., he gave me the driver's number. He said he would call me upon arrival. Called at 9 p.m. Driver could not make it until was there with gate pass in the order. Now, I'm not saying, I can't tell who's telling. I honestly can't tell. Right. But these are really different stories.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. And with the problem is, as the evidence mounts, it's hard to tell what Karen's talking about. So here's you in the live chat trying to get some help because Karen isn't cutting it. Right. And you got told the broker bond was provided to you, and we can't. Well, there's not much. I think ultimately, I'm just sharing this because at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do either, right? Right. You booked the load on this load board. The broker is screwing you, and there's nothing we can do. Is that right?
Well, and that basically, and here's the thing, that the broker info was not correct either. The broker bond info.
I'm going to move on
was
from
not
that.
Even the correct broker bond info.
Yeah.
So that.
And we're not trying to whack anybody directly, although it might seem that way. This goes on every day, and we have said that we are the neutral zone. We're not owned by any one company. Do not end up on Dispatching Live. Okay? If you do what you say you're going to do, you will not end up in our news. I would love if our news segment was dead every week. Please help us.
Well, see, Jen found, I think, 4 or 6 companies just last week alone that was on CD that were not even active, had already had their MC authority pulled or their insurance pulled, and yet they were still on there doing loads.
Oh, of course. Oh, my gosh. And if you say anything about them doing it, my gosh. I mean, you'll be cut off forever.
Yeah.
You'll never work in this town again.
Right.
Absolutely. I want to tell this story. This is crazy.
I think someone told her that on Facebook even.
No, I'm sure. Exactly. You'll never work. Okay, so what is this, Jay? This is Burke, Virginia to Los Angeles, California. Now, a customer, a car shipper, went on Google and typed in, I need my car shipped, whatever they typed. And it doesn't matter what you typed. It's all the same results, pretty much. And they got quoted a rate, and then they somehow found me and said, hey, can you find me a better rate or whatever? And I said, well, you should call Murphy Auto Transport. And so they did. They talked to you, texted you, I don't know, got a quote. You gave them a quote.
I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
This is 2,600 miles, by the way. Okay? It's right there. Okay? 2,600 miles. You gave them a quote. and I believe it was around $1,250,
Yeah,
which is
something
that's
like
pretty
that.
good. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. It's a Ford Fiesta run and drive, residence to residence.
Right.
And this guy may come on the show in the future, may or may not. It's not required. I'm telling the story either way. And he's a student or whatever, so not lots of money, right? I get it.
Right. And that's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but 1250 is too much. Can't do it. Goes back on Google, talks to a broker, and a broker says we can do it for 785 or 885. Let's call it 900.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Oh yeah, okay. Well, that's as much as I can do, but I'll do it." Signs a contract. The contract states that once they get the driver, once the vehicle gets picked up, credit card will be charged $100. The rest will be due to the driver COD. But in fine print, or maybe in bold, it doesn't matter, you can't cancel within 5 days of the pickup. Otherwise, that's a $200 cancellation fee. Okay, yeah. Just need the car picked up. You don't think about that part when you're, right? This is 30 days away. You're like 5 days. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Or I don't know. I don't know. I haven't read that contract.
Right.
Anyway, so what happens? Here comes the day of the pickup. Gets a phone call or a text. Sorry, driver canceled. We can get another driver, but it'll be a lot more.
Yep.
Guy comes unglued.
Bait and switch.
Contacts me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
They're telling me it's 1,200, maybe 1,900. I got on the phone with the guy. I said, okay, listen. Well, how much is it right now? If they're saying they have a driver right now, how much are they saying? He said 1,200. Okay. So that's, or maybe it was 1,100. Let's say it's 1,100. 1,000 COD to the driver, 100 to the credit card. I said $1,000 to the driver for 2,600 miles. Get your calculators, everybody. That's not, I don't think that's enough money.
No.
That's 38 cents a mile. Ford Fiesta, I said, listen, I told him, if it's a 9-car hauler, maybe. If it's a 9-car hauler and they got an empty spot, I could see it. Look, if you look at Burke, because I'm going, I'm talking like, an auto transport dispatcher. It's outside of Metro DC. If it's easy to pick up and it's going to LA, yeah, I could see this. This could work out. But I'm telling you, I said, this is the best rate you're going to get. Well, it's still too much. I want 900. I said 900 isn't, it's gone. I don't even know if 900 was ever real.
No.
You're right. So, okay, so he's upset, can't get past it. We get his friend on the phone, and we call the broker. There's now 4 of us on the phone. The broker, actually the lady we got on the phone was very nice. Not the owner, works there, probably won't work there in 1.72 years. Because she has a conscience. And she's trying to explain that there's a cancellation and that we lost the driver and now we have this driver and this is the rate. And if we lose this driver, it could be more. We're going into the holiday. She's really doing the best she can to hold it together. And the student's friend says, what were the chances you were actually going to get it moved for the rate on the contract? And she actually says it. She says, and he throws out options. What is it? 1 in 5, 1 in 10, 1 in 20? She said, probably 1 in 20.
Huh.
He says, okay, wait a minute. So there's a 5% chance that the contract the customer is signing is actually going to happen with the terms signed in the contract. She says yes.
Wow.
He said, wait a second. So you're failing 95% of your customers. She didn't say anything. And I felt really bad for her. I'm like, whoa, this is heavy, man. Your Honor.
Yeah, because like, she didn't do it, but
Oh my God. And she's just gonna get canned. The more honest she is, the higher probability that she's in a 95% probability of getting canned after this call.
Yeah.
Because she's not lying, right? Anyways, there was no resolution. I don't know if the car got picked up. We let her go. I thanked her. I talked to him. I said, listen, $1,100 is the best deal you're going to get. If you can find the money, you should. But the driver, and it's now 6 o'clock. We're on the phone. It's 6 o'clock Eastern time. And I'm like, the driver's probably going to be gone here any moment. So if you can get it for $1,100, I'm telling you, get this thing picked up, pay the driver $1,000 COD, $100 to your credit card, and move on with your life.
Yeah.
I mean, because you think of it, what, speeding tickets, oil changes, fender benders, what? I mean, there's a million things in life that happen, and you get dinged for $80 or $120, right? This is your car. You're taking it cross country. I said, do you need your car? Can you ride the bus every day? And the friend is like, can you drive your car? And everything was like, no, can't do it. And I thought, man, this is really, now this is. And I said, I'm telling you right now, every day this is happening. And there it is. Joe Car Shipper. That's a normal day for a broker. This is literally happening, what, every 120 minutes or whatever. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I get the calls too. And then if I price it what I think it's going to be priced, they go on to the next person. Cheap does not mean good. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's exactly what the friend told the student. He literally said, cheap is not good. Okay.
That's why I think when I sent him the email back, I said, cheap does not mean your car's going to arrive there in one piece,
cheap,
dude.
Man. And people Google cheap car shipping, and it is just, man, like what you're looking for, like a broken car with a couch through it. So David Ray Jr. posted on LinkedIn about excessive number of driver apps, because I mean the number of things we can talk about each week. That's why this is an hour-and-a-half show. There's so much stuff. So do me a favor, stick around, because right after this, we're going to bring in David and Ty. We're going to talk about apps. We're going to switch it up. I'm going to take some... Oh, man. I'm so glad I have my ELD punch with me again today. Do me a favor, stick around, because we'll be right back after... Where is it at? This.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verifications of loads where nobody ever answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021, or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
So you need help staying loaded or moving a car. That's the voice of Sue. She is a fully licensed broker, my co-host on Dispatching Live on Thursdays. And if you're looking for a realistic price to get your car moved, or a dispatch service that wants to help you stay loaded, contact murphyautotransportservices.com. I'll put the link in the live chat. Now here we go. Before we go any further, this is cool. We have Ty and David with us. We're going to go into technology and apps. We're going to switch it up. Give Jay a break from being such a hothead. Here we go. You can see me? You can hear me, guys?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Ty, you're on courtesy mute, but you're good. We see you. David, we see you and hear you. And, all right. Who wants to kick off why we're here doing a segment with David?
David should.
All right. David, take it away.
Yeah,
please say hello
sure.
and tell us why we're here.
Yeah, so I think it was a week or two ago where I posted that on LinkedIn. And basically what I was observing after talking to owner-operators and working on, custom transportation management solutions, I started to realize there's this conflict where, brokers and marketplaces want to, build the next, we'll call it shiny object. And they want to drive traffic and they want to drive all of the loads to their platform, which is great, and we can let that play out. But the problem it creates on the other side is that if you're a driver, I noticed that the drivers I spoke with, they would have somewhere between 7 to 10 apps on their phone. And so you could imagine it's kind of an overwhelming feeling if you're, you got three, let's say you have 5 cars in the back of your trailer and you're using 2 or 3 different apps, in some cases, pen and paper as well. And so you're making phone calls, you're updating the apps, and it just creates a lot of confusion. And so a real world example of this, I was talking to a colleague in the industry, and basically we were saying the confusion for the driver is I get to pick up point A and I think it's on app X, but it's really on app Y. But because I've already left, I can't update it because of geofencing, and it just creates a lot of issues. And so, to me, it was just a post about getting the conversation started and see, what are potential solutions. I think there's a lot of opportunity to improve in this space, and I think there are a lot of technology companies that are working hard to solve these kinds of problems. And so for me, it was just kind of getting the conversation started, and here we are.
The question then gets asked, David, now, do you work in software? What's your background on this?
Yeah, so I worked for a shipper in the industry about 3 or 4 years ago, and since then I've been doing consulting for transportation companies, building out custom transportation solutions, whether that's like an e-commerce site, a custom vendor portal or a client portal, driver apps. I worked on my own project last year that was a calculator for drivers, so kind of had experience across multiple layers of the supply chain, working with shippers, brokers, carriers, and independent dispatchers. So to me, I'm just more of I call myself a supply chain technologist. And this is just a very loud problem that I'm curious to solve.
All right. Sounds pretty good. So, now what? You've identified a problem. Are you proposing a solution, or what do you think we need to do?
So I think for me, there's just a conflict, and I haven't really resolved in my mind whether or not there's a potential solution for this. So in the example, let's say there's 50 different mobile apps, like this new ShipLux app that comes to market. What differentiates that from Central or Super or any of the other players in the marketplace if we know that it's the same drivers on the road, right? So to me, it's not congruent. Like if it's the same drivers using different technologies, what makes one platform better if it's the same driver, performing the same service? And so I think there's this idea that we're going to get more consistent or more reliable service by going through one platform. And I'm just not convinced, quite honestly, because it's, like I said, these guys are platform hopping. Maybe one day they're on Central, maybe one day they're on, Montway, and you have no idea.
Sue, what do you want to add? Because I know you've got to be thinking something.
Well, I hate all the extra apps. I think it should just be one. I mean, originally when Super Dispatch came out, Metro had agreed to let us use their app. Cars Arrive had agreed to let us use their app. And of course, that all changed as they have their own apps, and everybody always thinks their app is better than the next person's. I don't know how it will ever come together because of that right there. They all think their app is better than the others. And it's not always just about the app, it's also about them tracking the driver. And that's their.
Ooh, we lost you, but you were talking. You were just
Shoot,
talking about.
Yeah.
You were talking about driver tracking, which is interesting because, and then I also sent a message to Skip Kavanaugh. He posted on.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, she's here. Can you hear us, Sue?
Yeah, I don't know if you
Live.
heard anything I said or not.
Now go back, rewind 30 seconds if you would.
Okay. So I was saying that all of them have their own apps, and it's they all think their app is better than the other app, right? The biggest thing is for the app, I think, is for them to track the drivers. That's their main concern. And then we've talked about that a lot of times. Why should they be able to find out what time they take a bathroom break? That kind of thing. Or whatever else they may be doing.
Which is like, is there not middle ground between a customer wanting to know what state their car is in and knowing where the driver's going to the bathroom? Is there nothing in between?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if there is. I mean, there should be, but like I said, they all think theirs is better than the other, and we have to use a different one for every major company out there instead of just one that everybody likes and agrees to. And I don't know if that'll ever happen.
See, that's where I say nobody cares what everybody likes.
No,
it's not about that. Whoever has the
No.
contract dictates the technology.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
I'm curious to
And
know,
that's what they
Sue,
do.
how much of your work happens outside of these apps? So like let's say you're fulfilling an order or you're working on a load and you're using a particular app. How much of your time is spent on the phone, email, or text, even though these technologies exist?
Um, I mean, to get a load, do you mean kind of thing? I mean, we're always calling, texting. I mean, my phone goes dead halfway through the day because it's a nonstop thing. Um, Now for the drivers, I mean, let's be honest, not all drivers are going to use every app that they want us to use. So I make sure that they all use Super Dispatch no matter what. So a lot of them will refuse to use the other apps. I know that you have Metro that every time you get a load from them, it says you must use this app. Guess how many of my drivers actually use that app? Maybe 1 out of 15. I mean, eventually they're going to, as well as I do, they're all going to break it down and say, you either use this or you're not going to get paid. It's going to come down to that just because they want to track the driver. That's what the main concern is, tracking.
Candy hit it. You're right. Tracking and data. Candy hit it. Data, right? The reason why the company with a contract wants you to use their technology is data, tracking, and other branding, etc. So we know that. We know that that's what's happening. I mean, so it's not about, hey, I like this app. Well, whatever. That's fine. Neat. Thanks for telling us.
Right.
I mean,
and here's the thing, and we all know that not every app is created equally. We also know that a lot of the apps out there for the major companies don't even work half the time. So I have to, if they require it, we'll say, for example, United Road, I make them use both apps. I make them use Super Dispatch, and I make them use the United Road app. Because you know how many times I've had information lost on the United Road app, and they said we never picked up or delivered. Same thing with Ready Auto. Same thing with Cars Arrive.
Right.
It all happens this way. So it sucks for them because I make them do 2 apps sometimes.
Right. Which is, I mean, that's crazy. David, what do you think of that?
I mean, it's kind of another example of the same problem we're seeing. I mean, ultimately, it causes updates to get missed or data to slip through the cracks. That's important. One of the things, I think you were mentioning Skip's post a minute ago, Jay. One of the comments that I left earlier was that I noticed when it comes to invoicing, it also becomes frustrating when you have, BOLs and different documents in different places. It can be difficult for some folks to get paid in an accurate and timely manner. So, when you think about invoicing, claims, all those problems arise, and it's just because information is in so many different places.
Yeah, I agree.
Skip Kavanaugh's in the live chat. The real reason is they are all worried about who owns the data. Keeps coming back to the data.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what, I mean, I guess it just depends if what data are you really getting? I mean, yes, you want to know that your order is going through the milestones. It's en route to pick up, it's picked up, it's in transit, it's delivered. Outside of that, maybe there's something that, these players are tracking that I'm not thinking about, but it's, I don't imagine it to be the most consistent data set because you don't know who else these guys are moving for. Like a trip from LA to New York might be a certain amount of time, but that could be because the guy's, only moving that car. We don't know what it looks like on a different route. So I don't know how helpful some of the data is.
I want to go to this is okay, live chat. Thank you. So here we go. Skip Kavanaugh says 9 car loads, 6 different apps. Joe, a car shipper, says 1 point would be let capitalism work. Auto transport is in a transformational stage at the current moment. Skip, 1 pick, 6 drops, crazy. Joe, eventually the market will decide and 1 will become the default. Skip, pricing. This is kind of cool. If you look at it, rather than measuring the level of frustration, we're in this moment where we are actually seeing it has to change. Something has to change. and we're just witnesses to the moment because it cannot stay this way. And I wanted to find Eric Schwartz had posted on LinkedIn talking about how Central is working on their product and that they're going to grow, and that's all we know. And I put it in the live chat. What happens if Central releases an app?
Wow. That
Right?
is interesting, isn't it?
I've always wondered that. Where is the app? Because Central owns, allegedly, I know reporting the news makes people crazy. Central allegedly owns Ready. So they already have an app. Why not rejigger it for all of Central? I've always wondered why that's never happened. And what would that mean anyways? I mean, but what it would mean is if most of the loads are going through Central and they have an app, you could, dispatch, pick up, deliver, EBOL, start to integrate. My gosh. Wouldn't that become, although you'd still have businesses with contracts with their own technology. Anyways, take it away. I don't know where to go with this.
And I think we talked about this. I was watching Dispatching Live a couple of weeks ago, and I think when I ran the numbers, it was something like 85%, maybe upwards of 90% of loads were going through Central. So when you kind of break that out and you think if they did have something, I mean, assuming that it's on par and, it's as good as, the bet, some of the other players in the market, I could see that being a potential solution because the majority of loads would have technology that they could use. But I don't know. Yeah. Well, that's
do they really want the responsibility of that? Because they don't want to be the responsibility of only being a load board. Do they really want the responsibility of having an app that does that?
It's a significant undertaking. I don't know their team very well. I mean, I saw that they're hiring quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with and how many features that they actually build out to be on par with some of the other apps out there.
I think what they've got coming out is something different than an app situation. It's going to be more of a click and get the load kind of situation is what I think it's going to be. Like Super Dispatch with Instabook. It's going to be something like that. I think that's what's going to happen. We'll find out.
So I got some questions for you, David. The guys that you're talking to, are they one truck, one trailer, owner operator guys?
It's been a mix. I'd say in general, most of them are under 4 or 5. So, single solo owner operators with maybe 1 or 2 other trucks.
Right. So as I'm listening to the story, I'm thinking, okay, it's an important problem for sure, but at the same time, I'm the kind of old cranky guy that really doesn't care because this guy's just eating off of a load board. I mean, obviously, it sounds mean, but this problem revolves around the guy who hasn't built a lane, who hasn't built a business, who doesn't have any relationships. Am I right or wrong about that?
I'd say it's true. I'd say there's a couple of additional things I would add to that. So there's a couple of milestones I think these guys would have to go through, and I'm sure you could speak to it more than I could. But you got to eat off the load boards first, and then you build those relationships. Then you have a lane. So where those gentlemen were in their journey, I think they were still very much on the load boards.
Right. Now, I could agree with you, but I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you because when you start a business, you should first know who your customer is and is there a need for your service or product?
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, you've got a guy who bought a truck and a trailer, and he bought it because when he drives down the highway to his job that he hates every day, he's like, there must be some money here. And then he talks to the guy at the fuel island with a couple cars on it. And that guy says, I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. So he doesn't go talk to a dealership. He doesn't talk to an auction. He doesn't talk to a repo yard. He doesn't talk to ATI. He probably didn't even know what ATI is, right? So as we have this conversation, we're going to slide into, okay, so we're using the word apps, right? Okay, really, are we using the word app or are we using the word load board or marketplace? Because an app, to me, is just a way for me to keep track of what I picked up, where I picked it up, what it was, how far, and how much I got paid for that. And I can do an electronic bill of lading. So when I pick up a car and I have my own customer base and I build a lane, I want to keep track of how many cars I moved this week and how much money I made. And that slides over to what I think when we originally met you, you're built some kind of technology that helps the carrier know if he's making money or not.
Right.
So to me, should we call that a TMS or is that a driver app? What is that?
Just to make sure I'm clear on your question, I think, so when we're saying a driver app or the original problem about drivers providing information, I think Skip said it best. If you look at it as a communication problem, that's probably the best way to think about it. If I'm using multiple apps, it then becomes more difficult for me to communicate with the people who need the information that I can provide. And I think that's the simplest way to put it.
All right, but that app, when you say, say the sentence again, because it's still vague. To me, it should say, rather than app, it should say load board / marketplace.
I think they're both the same. So a marketplace does not particularly, like, they're contracted labor, right? So if I have a marketplace, I don't control the movements of the people who are using the marketplace. I'm just hoping that they fulfill and meet the agreements that we set out. Same thing with a load board. I mean, it's kind of not an unofficial handshake, but it's saying, you know, I'm promising to fulfill this, but I'll do my best. And am I going to comply? I will do my best. I'll try, but you know, there's no real guarantees. And I think we're seeing that with, you know, some of the issues that were brought up earlier in the call.
I guess so to try to tie this back into, well, it's because of data. So is it really because of data, or is it because I'm United Road and I have Holly and I have my own client base and you have to use mine, so that way I know that you're dealing with my customer and nobody's going to steal my customer?
And this is from the perspective of United?
Any one of them. I think we all rattled off about 7 different load boards, which I think are the word that we're really trying to change here is app. So if a driver's running around and he says, I have too many apps, I'm really trying to comprehend what too many apps is, because to me, you've got Auto Sled, you've got Auto Hauler Exchange, you've got Super Dispatch, Central Dispatch, Holly. I mean, we can keep going.
Sure.
Carvana, right? And when I hear those, I hear as a carrier, that's where a carrier that doesn't understand I'm building a business, I'm going to go to these apps, which I think are load boards, and I'm going to dive into the dumpster. And good luck. And now I've got too many apps, which is really, I have too many load boards. Am I wrong?
No, you're accurate. Yeah, that's a fair statement. I think where the incentives don't align, and I'd love to know what Sue thinks about this, is, I mean, these guys, they're just trying to go where the best loads are. It's not a loyalty, in my opinion, from what I've seen. I don't think there's a strong loyalty to a particular platform or load board or brokerage at the beginning. Maybe that develops over time, but to start, I mean, they're just looking for work. The challenge is if work is in multiple places, and as each new broker or app or marketplace or load board comes into the market, there's more places to go find work. And so that's why it's, you know, they're kind of two opposing forces right now that make it a really difficult challenge to make the lives of the drivers easier, and to, you know, have the end customer happy with, you know, I know where my vehicle is at all times. I know when it's going to arrive, and, you know, it's fairly predictable. I think that's what we all want, right? It's just a more predictable supply chain.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So we're now playing a game. It's mostly me right now, but listing auto transport software in the live chat. Central Dispatch, Super Dispatch, One Dispatch, Cars Arrive, Carshipio, Holly, Vinlocity. Let's keep going. We don't have to, but
Magnus.
I was just gonna say Magnus. Well, a lot of people would be like, "What's Magnus?" Auto
Right. So if
Sled.
if you're getting a load off of one of these, this is what I don't understand. And I'm being honest, I really don't get it. So we'll play the game. We're going to list them all. And the driver is trying to survive. So he's going to go where the loads are. So he's going to go to this marketplace load board. He's going to snag a load. Now, how does he manage that load?
So you mean as far as apps, or what do you mean? What do you
Okay,
mean by
Magnus.
that?
You said Magnus. So you got a carrier somewhere. You happen to stumble on Magnus. You found something that looks good dollar wise. That's what we're
Right.
going for here is money, right?
Right.
So
Yep.
you get a hold of Magnus. They say, yeah, the load's available. Yeah, it pays this much. Everything looks and sounds great, but you have to use our app. What does that mean?
So they
And
usually
I say,
give
no,
you
I've
a
got Super
username and a
Dispatch.
password. Yeah. They're going to say,
Okay,
no, you have to use our app.
right. So what is, I mean, what is that app? Is it the same thing as Central or Super Dispatch? Is it a
No, it's a
TMS?
totally
What is it?
different app.
Probably not. Yeah.
So
Going to
it's just,
be similar to Super Dispatch. It's going to be like an EBOL system, but usually Magnus also tracks you. I mean, don't get me wrong, Super Dispatch, you can track your drivers too. But like Magnus is what United Road uses. So all over their stuff, you first off, you have to get signed up with that company to even get to where you can take a load, and you have to have the right qualifications to even take that load. And then once you get signed up, they give you the Magnus app information, which is your username and the password. And then each driver gets their own, depending on if they have an iPhone or a Android. Then they're supposed to use that. That's why I always make them use if they want to use that, they use that, and they also use Super Dispatch. Most of my guys will only use Super Dispatch.
okay, did you find the load on Magnus or Holly?
Well, Holly is Magnus. So Holly's app is called Magnus. They just changed. It used to be something different. And then also Magnus is also used by a couple other places like I want to say Proficient or somebody like that. Yeah, I know, Ty. I know. Yes.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, a couple of the bigger carriers use Magnus.
Yes. Yeah.
And what I was
even
just
ACI uses Cars Arrive app too,
they
which is
do.
weird.
Okay.
Yes, they
Do
do.
they
On
have
certain
does
loads.
ACI have their own technology?
No, they have their own technology. I don't know if they have their own actual app. I just know that some loads, when you call to get them, they say you have to use the Cars Arrive app. We will send you over the username and password for it. And it's usually CarMax loads, to be honest with you. But it just
Without I'm trying to pull us out of the weeds. So what do drivers do, given all this? Do they just have to memorize who uses what? How do drivers manage
typically,
this?
if they didn't have like us, yeah, usually I have to remind them and say, hey, don't forget to use this app. Or I'm sending you the qualifications for it. This is what you need to go do. Or they're sending you the app information so to make sure to use it. That's usually how it goes down.
Candy says, navigating through all of these is more than an art. A dispatcher or admin behind a desk can master this, but loading, driving, and being sane as a driver explains why drivers spaz out. That's a really interesting comment.
Yeah, she's right. Absolutely.
Victory Lap's talking about one of the software companies. Skip is adding interesting perspective. Skip says grease pencil on the windshield listing the app. That's a great idea, man. All right. Well, I mean, I think we covered. Is there anything else we want to add to this conversation for the? I mean, it's good. It's an ongoing conversation. This is an ongoing moment in time, but at some point it will be over. So there's anything to add before it ends?
Well, let David have the last word. David, what's the solution?
I don't know. I'm not convinced that everything is going to end up on one load board. I think maybe over the course of 5 years, it consolidates down to a few winners, 5 to 10. But right now, it's hard to say. And I also don't know, how the technological platforms and brokerages feel about creating more collaborative tools so that it's more compatible and easier to work across apps. So I think, for me, I'd be very curious to know how software companies and brokerages feel about exchanging data in ways that are creating less friction when getting loads moved. I think that's the biggest thing for me.
One last question. Sorry, this is it, okay. So where you stick with this Magnus for a second, and you got to download the app and you got to use the app. Okay, is there any cost associated with that other than time?
No,
For
just time.
for the driver.
Okay. Yeah. So the driver. So when somebody says you have to use the app, whoever's telling you to use the app's not getting any of your actual money.
Right. No, it's just
Okay.
their app.
That's right.
You go to the Play Store, you download it.
The
you
customer
put in your-
doesn't know any of this.
No, they have no idea.
In fact, and if
Half
they
the time
heard
they're
it,
told how a transport
they
works.
think that people are just fighting back in the. I mean, right? What would a customer say if a driver shows up and says, "Oh my God, oh, I got your car. I got to use the Super Dispatch app and the Ready Auto app and the cars." The customer would be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yep.
It'd be like the
And I don't-
Amazon driver delivers your
Totally fair.
package and he kicks it in the yard and you're like, "What's the problem?" It's like, "Oh, I got to use the Amazon app and the Uber app and all." You're like, "What are you talking about? Why'd you kick my package?"
All we worry about is getting our package.
Yeah, I don't. Stop talking and get me my package.
Yep.
That's what the customer would say.
Yep.
That was a good conversation. Thanks, David. Good to see you again.
Appreciate it. Good to see you, Ty.
Awesome
All right.
stuff. All right, thanks everybody. We'll let you go and we'll finish up the show. Really do appreciate it, and keep us posted, David. I mean, let us
Cool.
know.
Thanks,
I don't
Bye,
know.
Ty. Bye, David.
We saw your post
gonna
on
keep
LinkedIn, and that's kind of what started this. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep digging. As I learn more, I'll definitely come back and share my learnings with you and anyone else who's interested. So appreciate you having me on, Jay.
And I want to say this. Well, that's right. I don't remember how did we meet? About a year and a half ago?
Yes, I was working on LoadWise. I think it was
Did you
last.
email me?
Yeah.
Okay. So you emailed me, and here's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to stop and give context that you emailed me, and now you're here. We've talked several times, and I find your input valuable. I find your work, you are really trying to solve something. In fact, have you pivoted now in what you're trying to solve? Meaning, like, are you trying to solve the same problem you were a year and a half ago?
No, not at all. Not
Exactly.
At all. Yeah,
My
last.
We all pivot.
Last
right?
year. Yeah, absolutely,
We're all
for sure.
pivoting because it's hard to figure out what problem we need to solve first.
It's a complex ecosystem,
Whoa,
and
complex.
trying to find the area I can add the most value is
Exactly.
it's been tricky, but I think I'm on the right path.
So I think you are too. So keep us posted and let us know what's next, and then we'll bring you back for another time because this is great. I love
Will
having
do.
you on.
Will do. I appreciate you, Jay.
Okay, thanks, David. Right on.
Thanks, JJ. Thanks.
Take
Sid.
care. All right, there's David.
Yeah.
I thought that was an amazing segment. Actually,
He just said something really funny.
what did he say?
Well, it wasn't funny, but I think it's funny. He said a complex ecosystem. I think it's a complex ecosystem
Oh, whoa!
because it's
whoa,
all
whoa,
about
whoa,
the bigger
whoa.
broker's ego.
Whoa. Well, but I'll tell you what. What's interesting is, while it might seem like ego, it is a very complex data system. It's all about the data. So it looks like ego, but it's really data, and which is money. Which is why I love when the word capitalism gets used, and it wasn't me that
Right.
said it. See, I talk about capitalism. I guarantee somebody thinks I'm a commie. Because I talk about capitalism like it's not the end all be all. Okay? It's just like,
Yeah.
right? Like every country has its religion. And it's the end all be all. I mean, you can't
Right.
even make cartoons about Islam in Europe. You will get firebombed. That's not a joke.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's the end all be all. And in America, capitalism's the end all be all. And if you say otherwise, you are, out of here. But isn't it capitalism that's helping cause this problem? Because if we say ecosystem,
yeah.
data system, it's really all about money.
Right.
And as long
Absolutely.
as money drives the market, this problem really isn't I mean,
It's,
you're just
it's
going to
gonna
get
be,
bullied into using whatever app the people
I
making the
guarantee
most
you
money
5
are
years
going
from
to.
now, we're gonna still be talking about the same thing,
I think we are
and
too.
maybe more.
Actually,
I
that's
don't
why.
think they'll ever decide to
That's why
get together and share.
saying that
You know
will
what I mean?
actually see. It's actually a bit of a joke. Because I'm framing the joke as if this will end, which it won't.
Right. No.
That's what makes it such a good one. Let's see here. I wanted to say, again, getting back to the pre-dispatch note craziness, we're gonna be learning more with the repo gang, and in fact, I made a clip today. It just occurred to me. I'm gonna put the I made a joke live. Where is everybody? I made a joke live about RepoLingo. All right, RepoLingo. You know what Duolingo is, right?
Right.
Okay, Duolingo is an app where you can learn Spanish or another language for just 5 minutes a day. RepoLingo would be an app where car haulers can learn about repo in just 5 minutes a day. Now, I know that's ridiculous. It's terrible. It's awful, Jay. I can't believe you'd even say that. But I did say it Tuesday Night Live. I went ahead and made this YouTube short about it. I shared the link to my YouTube short. And the reason I did this is, you know what's going to happen? Somebody's going to go, oh, yeah, we're totally going to make RepoLingo. That's going to happen. And they're going to do it without me. Because that's the way things are. This is how capitalism works. Whoever can make the biggest amount of money fastest on their own does it. That's how capitalism works.
Yeah.
But I do believe in RepoLingo because, as I was saying about PortLingo would be another one, is that how do you learn about all of the things of how to deliver and pick up and deliver at the port? The answer is by sitting at the port losing your mind. No other way do you learn. Only while sitting there going crazy. It's the same thing with repossession. The only way auto transporters really learn about repo is by sitting at the repo lot going crazy. Is that necessary?
No.
No. So can we get some repo lingo and some port lingo? And I mean, can we get this? It should be on ATI. Now,
Jamie said pray.
I'm not a total pessimist. I know, port lingo. I'm not an absolute pessimist that this won't happen on ATI. But what I am saying is that it should happen here. And given how fragmented this industry and ecosystem is, this ecosystem, it's not likely, but it should. It'd be great. So we're here to help. Repo lingo, port lingo, whatever your lingo, dispatching lingo, let us know, man. Send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com. I'll close out the news. Let's see here. What do we got? Oh, there it is. Send in the email, podcast, ATI, caller text tie. Oh, and here's Skip. Skip, thank you, Skip, for being in the live chat. Thanks, everybody, for being in the live chat. Really good live chat today. My gosh.
Yeah.
Railhead lingo. Do you see what's happening? Why doesn't this stuff exist already? And as I framed it Tuesday night, I get it. You know what? I totally get it. I do it too. I got my phone, right? I got my phone, and I got a minute to kill. Maybe I'm waiting for a Zoom meeting to start. What do? I start looking for bad news. Oh boy. Is it easy to find terrible news, nationwide, global death? Or, holy crap, I could spend 5 minutes learning something. No. God, no. But I could. What if I did? And what if some of this lingo was in the 4,000 apps I've already got? Also, Skip Kavanaugh talked about real-time tracking compliance. We're going to do a show and talk about... Here's another one nobody wants to talk about. I know. We touched it earlier. See, cat videos How about cat videos teaching about repo lots? Just as the customer doesn't care how many apps you've got, they also want to know where the car is during its journey. And nobody can understand why this is such a problem. The dealers, the fleet managers, the auctions, the consumer, everybody wants to know where the car is, and they all know about tracking technology. You've got, dude, you delivered in an app? You mean you don't have GPS in your app? Seriously, nobody understands. And we understand that you don't want to be highly monitored. I believe in business hours tracking or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't even work here. But I'm saying it's a thing, and Skip is pointing it out, and Skip's going to be back on the show. We're going to talk about it. I think Marco from Ship Your Car Now, or SYC on Auto Logistics is going to be on that too. It's Car Shipping Business Channel. My name is Jay. We're doing what? It's 1:26. Sue, what did we miss? Other than everything.
I think we covered everything.
We got
I
it?
thought, anyways.
Yeah. Repo Cat, trademarked by ATI. Wow. Thanks, Skip. That's really nice. I really appreciate that. All right. Well then, should we do it? Should we wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay, let's
wrap
wrap
her
this
up.
baby up. Office, what do we say?
What do we say, office? Goodbye, Sue.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you, David.
Goodbye,
Thank you,
guys.
Ty. Thanks for everybody in the live chat. Thank you, Sue and Dispatch Office. We appreciate you guys. Everybody have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, see you. Bye.